Chapter 30. You are free now. Questioner. There are so many theories about the nature of man and universe. The creation theory, the illusion theory, the dream theory, any number of them. Which is true? Maharaj. All are true. All are false. Highlight. Both answers he gave. Observe it. You can pick up whichever you like best. Questioner. You seem to favor the dream theory. Maharaj. These are all ways of putting words together. Some favor one way, some favor another. Theories are neither right nor wrong. They are attempts at explaining the inexplicable. It is not the theory that matters, but the way it is being tested. It is the testing of the theory that makes it fruitful. Experiment with any theory you like. If you are truly earnest and honest, the attainment of reality will be yours. I'll stop there. This also, what we are discussing here, Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana, is your first exposure as beginners. Seniors have been on the path for a while. It is new to you. You never ever saw the reality in this way. You always saw how I am this person and I, this person, am inside a pre-existing world. That's how you saw it. We are reversing that. How are we seeing this now? I am the consciousness in which this person arises and falls like a wave, in which the world arises and falls like a wave. So we've completely reversed the way we were seeing. Yes? So he's saying the theory doesn't matter. You experiment with it. You experiment, and if you are earnest, earnest means sincere. If you are sincere, if you are honest with yourself, then attainment of reality will be yours. Is that clear? You will attain the supreme truth. You will know the supreme truth. Yeah, there are many approaches. Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana is the easiest way to get to the fourth. To recognize I'm not the first, not the second, not the third, I'm the fourth. It's the quickest way because you've been dreaming and sleeping all your life. So you can get there quickly. Number one, prerequisite, earnestness. And number two, honesty. Yeah? How earnest you are to know yourself. How earnest you are about your path. If you're not earnest, will you get there? If you're not sincere? No, it should come to me. When it comes to me, it's okay. That is not being sincere. Yeah, sincere is no, I have to make the attempt to see this because it's exactly opposite of how I saw reality before. I thought I was this person which was inside a world. Now we are reversing it and saying, no, the world and the person are inside me, the witnessing consciousness, which is completely opposite of how I saw it. Yeah, so I have to make an earnest effort to see it. Clear? So attempt to go deeper and be honest with yourself. Don't jump to conclusions too quickly and say, okay, I see it, it's done. No. Continuously, consistently being the witness consciousness, maintaining the stand and consistently recognizing everything as a wave and not indulging. That is earnestness. If 10 minutes I do the exercise and the rest of the day I'm thinking about the spouse or the child or the parent or the money or making plans for retirement or just chilling out, then I've wasted, then I'm not really honest. I've wasted the entire time here. Do you see this? Then I'm not honest and I'm not honest. If I'm earnest and honest, I will give this search number one priority. Is this very clear? Yeah. So earnestness and honesty, very important to see this truth. Then you will see, oh, it's not a theory. SNGS is the truth. What I was thinking this world to be pre-existing, that was a theory. That was a big lie. How stupid I was. Then you'll understand what Maharaj said yesterday. It's utter stupidity. And the only cure for stupidity is intelligent description. So, Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana is the intelligent description to help me wipe away this stupidity. Okay? Maharaj is very straightforward in his words. He doesn't use filters. Yeah? So, even if it pokes the ego, it's really a true thing. That's how a child would speak, without filters. He doesn't care to be politically right or politically very poised and very delicate with his words. He's straightforward. So number one, has the SNGS wisdom points really converted to my direct seeing yet or not? That's your homework for this chapter, the first one. As a living being, you are caught in an untenable and painful situation, and you are seeking a way out. You are being offered several plans of your prison, none quite true, but they all are of some value. Only if you are dead earnest. It is the earnestness that liberates and not the theory. Please highlight. It is your actual earnestness, your following of that path and going within instead of going outside. You simply stay within as the witness of every wave. And finally, you see the collapse of the I. There the truth is revealed. There is no I. That itself is an aha moment. That is precious. There is no I. That recognition of being nothing, of being the supreme reality itself. That's it. It's such a short journey. The words of Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana only meant to help you get there. Once you get there, their job is done. Till you get there, you have to use them. They are your boat, otherwise you will sink. The boat gets you till there. Once you get there, you can't keep holding to the boat. You let go of the boat and now simply be in that nothingness, the Chaitanya. So the moment in Samadhi the I collapses, you attain that nothingness. Now stay, stay, stay. This is what you wanted. This is what you always were seeking. If you try to again come out of it, then your search is not earnest. You're not honest to yourself. It's not an attainment to just learn the method. So what? You're going to definitely forget it. I'll give it to you in writing with my signature on it. You're going to forget the samadhi. You're going to forget the sutra. You're going to forget the method. So learning the method is of zero value. What is of value? Seeing that I am nothingness. That you will never forget. Recognizing there is no I. That you will never forget. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So don't hold on to methods. Don't hold on to words is what he's saying. They are meant to take you somewhere. When you get there, that aha, that aha flavor of that moment, that is what you're supposed to hold on to. Is that clear? That is what is the first paragraph. It is the earnestness that liberates and not the theory. For example, when I was giving the first samadhi, one of the persons wanted to know what would be the second samadhi. Just after reading the verse of the first samadhi, without practicing it, was more interested in the what the second samadhi would be. Do you see this? It's only a feverishness, the hankering of the mind to learn the verses. Okay, you learn the verses. What's the point? You'll just feel like that dog who ran behind the Mercedes, overtook the Mercedes with his tongue hanging out. Okay, he overtook the Mercedes. Now what? Now he's looking here and there, feeling stupid for running so fast. So what? Did you get anything? Yeah, wake up. Recognize this hankering tendency of the mind. The verses are not important. Do you see that? Learning all the 6 techniques is not important. In one technique, you can get there. How many of you got there just in the first technique? One technique is sufficient. Memorizing all the 6 techniques is not going to get you there. So drop the hankering and recognize I have this hankering. Yeah, be honest about it. Your earnestness will get you there, he says. Yeah, be honest about it, recognize it. This I is just feverish, it's grasping. Now it's grasping spiritual objects. Are you seeing this? In the world, you were grasping name, fame, money, sex, relationships, whatever, love, anger, jealousy, hatred. Here on the spiritual path, now you want spiritual attainments. Same tendency. Here also same tendency. Here also same tendency. Are you seeing this? This needs to be recognized. This will obstruct your samadhi seeing. You will always be in the waking. You will not get to the fourth. You'll be stuck with the perception, sensation, thoughts, and feelings of the waking, and endlessly you will keep witnessing that. There will be no going to the fourth for you because they are constantly haunting you. The first thought comes, okay, that's fine. I cannot stop the first thought. It's coming from the memory. Allow it to fade away. I maintain my witnessing stand. Yeah. Again, another feverish thought. I want the next samadhi also before I leave. Ari, you finish this samadhi first. Don't start interacting with that thought. Let them fade away. Come to a point where there is absolute quiet. There is no more waves. The waves give up on you. You be such a strong witness. You have to allow them to give up on you. If you keep indulging, will they give up on you? No, you're ruffling the sand and raking it up, and that mud is up, and it's muddy water. It's going to take hours of sitting to settle it down. Did you realize that? Yeah. Are you managing long sittings? Attempt to go longer than an hour. Just a simple sankalp. 1 hour, I will not move. Sit in the most comfortable position. See if the mind settles down and you come to a point where those big waves become smaller and smaller and smaller and almost not there. Then you're doing a good job witnessing. And if bonus, treat it as a bonus. If the witness collapses, fantastic. You just got a chance to see beyond. Otherwise, you're stuck in the waking. Is this very clear? What will take you there? Your earnestness. Yeah. I've been speaking for 15-20 minutes now. Are you at the witness level or have you again slipped to the body mind? Go back up. Take that step beyond. Stay there. I, the witness, cannot listen to ekta. The body mind is listening to Ekta. In fact, there is no body mind also when there is the wave of sound. Do you notice that? There is first the body mind, and then there is the sound of Ekta's words. And then there is just sound of Ekta's words. And suddenly there is the body mind when I think of it. See that. Don't miss that at all. Then you will see that I, the witness, cannot hear. I, the witness, cannot speak. I, the witness, cannot do. This is the next level. I, the witness, cannot touch. I, the witness, cannot smell. I, the witness, cannot taste food. While eating, you recognize I cannot taste it. There is simply the arising of flavor and dissolving of it. But I am not tasting it. I cannot taste. To get to that, right now you have to recognize I am not making the notes. The hand is moving. There is only the motion. Or there is the repetition of what Ekta said so that I don't forget to note it down. Or there is the sound of Ekta. Are you noticing it's only waves, only waves, only waves? Do you just see it as waves now? Rather than even scenes? Just reduce to a wave. Just reduce to a wave. Nothingness as the background and a wave arising in nothingness. Another wave arising, another wave arising. At a time, only one wave. Is it becoming clearer and clearer? Yes. Stay there. Maintain that as I read ahead. Don't lose the stand. It is the earnestness that liberates and not the theory. Questioner. Theory may be misleading and earnestness blind. Maharaj says, no, your sincerity will guide you. Devotion to the goal of freedom and perfection will make you abandon all theories and systems and live by wisdom, by intelligence, and by active love. In other words, your inner guru will help you see that this is just a theory. I have to abandon this theory, I have to abandon that system, and I have to simply live by wisdom, by that direct seeing. That is the wisdom. What I am seeing directly. That is the intelligence. And that itself is the active love. When can you see the love? Only when you see the oneness. The oneness is seen only at the witness consciousness level. The moment you come to the body mind, there is no love. Do you recognize that? No love is seen. If you cannot see love, you've slipped to the body mind level. Come back to the witnessing consciousness. See there is no duality. See the Advaita. See the oneness. And there itself, that oneness is so sweet. That sweetness is love. Got nothing to do with the love that is there between two individuals or two people. Yeah? The higher kind of active love. Theories may be good as starting points, but must be abandoned. The sooner, the better. Questioner. There is a yogi who says that for realization, the eightfold yoga is not necessary. That willpower alone will do. It is enough to concentrate on the goal with full confidence in the power of pure will to obtain effortlessly and quickly what others take decades to achieve. Which yogi is he talking about? J. Krishnamurti. Direct words. Yeah? You don't need yoga. Simply will. You have the will, you will get there. And it's effortless. In effortlessness, simply going with the flow, you will attain it. That's exactly what you do in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. You recognize you're the witnessing consciousness. You allow the body mind to go with the flow, and you will see you are already there. You didn't have to really make the effort. Yes, consciousness. You have to only rip the conditioning that you're the body mind. That is the only obstacle for you. So will, only your will is sufficient. Maharaj, concentration, full confidence, pure will. With such assets, no wonder one attains in no time. This yoga of will is all right for the mature seeker who has shed all desires but one. Please highlight. Are you a mature seeker? Have you shed all desires but one? What is that but one? The Atma Vasana, the desire for liberation, the desire for moksha. The desire to be completely free of suffering is moksha. That's the definition of moksha. Do you have that, only that desire? Then you fall into the categorization of the mature seeker. Otherwise, we are still immature. So if you're mature, the yoga of will work for you. Clear? After all, what is will but steadfastness of heart and mind? Given such steadfastness, all can be achieved. Questioner, I feel the yogi did not mean mere steadiness of purpose, resulting in ceaseless pursuit and application. He meant that with will fixed on the goal, no pursuit or application are needed. The mere fact of willing attracts its object. It's very nicely explained how he sees it, the questioner. He's saying just the will of being the witness consciousness, that itself will attract everything else. You don't have to do anything. Is that you're also seeing? Yeah, he also has probably seen just that much. Just the will is sufficient. The rest gets attracted. I don't have to go looking for it. In fact, when I go looking for the witness to collapse, what happens? Does it collapse? No, because there's more hankering. When will it collapse? It's not collapsing. When will it collapse? This witness should collapse. I have to be the Chaitanya. Then it never happens. Did you notice? Yeah. So no hankering. Just the will to stay as the witness consciousness. So this is what the questioner has realized. See what Maharaj says. Whatever name you give it, will or steady purpose or one-pointedness of the mind, you come back to earnestness, sincerity and honesty. When you are dead earnest, you bend every incident, every second of your life to your purpose. You do not waste time and energy on other things. You are totally dedicated. Call it will or love or plain honesty. We are complex beings at war within and without. We contradict ourselves all the time, undoing today the work of yesterday. No wonder we are stuck. A little integrity would make a lot of difference. Is that clear? Maharaj agrees with him and in fact elaborates that you can call it will, you can call it love, you can call it honesty, or you can call it earnestness. It's one and the same. He's just giving him one more warning sign. Don't undo what you have just done. Because we tend to do that. We are at constant war with ourselves. How did you undo in your samadhi what you had just done? Yeah, you came to the witnessing, you did your 5 perception work, you did that perfectly, you came to the witnessing, you did it perfectly, you came and sat down, wow, yes, I'm maintaining it. You were happy, but what happens after some time? You get bored with your little attainment and then you start projecting. That projection is hankering. Now I want the next thing. Now I want the next thing. There you undid what you just did. I, the witness, cannot do anything. The moment you think, I am meditating, I am doing samadhi, what happens? Where have you come? To a false idea of doership. So you just undid whatever little being you had done little before this hankering started. There is no need to project anymore. It happens on its own. Yeah? So maintain that continuity of staying as the witness. Just stay, just stay. Don't allow the mind to get content or get bored. Don't give in to that. That is also feeling. And remember, feelings are subtler than thoughts. And they just creep on you. You don't even realize it. Quietly they sneak in and destroy your samadhi. Recognize this. Hankering is a very strong feeling that is spoiling your samadhi. Is that clear? Now, there is another important thing in this paragraph. He says, when you are dead earnest, you bend everything in your direction. Did you recognize this? When you're serious about your samadhi and you just continue witnessing, that big tsunami thought which disturbed yesterday's samadhi, today could not even make you budge from your stand. Yeah, you've started bending things into your direction. That huge emotional wave that arose yesterday could not even touch you today. That's how you know you have started bending things. Everything starts moving in your direction. You make a simple sankalpa, I will not get up and I will skip this meal, whatever your meal is, and you will see the body will cooperate. It does not throw in any hunger pangs, as if you bent reality, as if you bent everything in your direction. When you are dead earnest, you bend every incident, every second of your life to your purpose. Doing these simple things in samadhi will show you that you project what you want, and whatever you perceive is your projection. You have made that happen, whatever is before you today. You can project your samadhi. You can make it happen. You are all powerful. That is how the earnestness takes you there. And the last sentence is beautiful. A little bit of integrity will make a lot of difference. Highlighted. You do one act of kindness, you start feeling nice and pure and happy inside. You do one little wrong, you start feeling guilty, and then your samadhi is not good. Did you notice that? That guilt keeps bringing up waves, 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 waves. So attempt to be very pure, be sensitive, be very kind to each other. Even when you indulge and take food too much, something tells you from inside, stop, I don't want any more, but you start feeling guilty. Then that bothers you in your samadhi. Every little thing will bother you. Notice it. Notice it. Yeah? Become sensitive to your own self. Stop looking outside and look within. And take care of yourself now. Take care of yourself. I cannot really hurt another because it actually hurts me. And how does it hurt me? Why does it hurt me if you've seen it? Yes, it is all one. Because we are all one. There is no other. Then you're truly recognizing Advaita. The moment you cause hurt, you're actually causing hurt here. And that starts shaking. It doesn't feel good and samadhi doesn't happen. So no hurt, no harm, no ill will, no anger, no jealousy. Can I at least try to touch that frozen lake of purity, of pure mind? The mind can freeze. You can come to that point in this first samadhi. Yeah? Can I at least get a glimpse of the frozen lake? For that, you have to be absolutely pure and absolutely devoted to Brahman, like in the first verse. Completely devoted to Brahman. Satchidananda Tatparam. Satchidanand, top priority. Little bit of integrity will really make a whole lot of difference.